Good morning. I'm Tom Campbell, Director of the Metropolitan Museum, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this preview of the Costume Institute's exhibition, ManusxMachina, Fashion in an Age of Technology. The Met has always been a museum about making, and the distinctions between art and craft have been carefully investigated here. In this respect, Andrew Bolton's new exhibition fits perfectly within a museum dedicated to what, how, and why things have been created over the past 5,000 years. This ambitious exhibition is located on both levels of the Robert Lehman Wing, which has been transformed by architect Sho Shigematsu of Oma, New York. Our incredible Met team have literally created a building within a building, a cathedral of sorts, with scrim-covered domes and niches. A central platform built across the atrium holds one of the highlights of the exhibition, Karl Lagerfeld's Chanel Wedding Ensemble, a perfect melding of hand and machine, and one of Andrew's inspirations for the show. Andrew's carefully crafted vision for this exhibition is yet another example of his expansive mind and rigorous intellect. It was inspiring to see his eye at work as these objects came together to embody the themes of the show. I would like to once again thank Met trustee Anna Winter for her support of this work. Tonight, for the 18th time, she will work her magic with the Costume Institute benefit. Condé Nast has also provided generous funding, a further demonstration of its continued support. Of course, this project would not have been possible without the generosity of our sponsor, Apple, and its visionary chief designer, Jony Ive. Apple's commitment to excellence in design and its mission to please the eye as well as the hand and the mind impacts us all. And it's now my pleasure to introduce Jony.
Good morning. We are thrilled at Apple to help bring to life ManusxMachina, Fashion in an Age of Technology. Now, when Anna and Andrew first talked to me about the exhibition, I was particularly intrigued that it would stimulate a conversation exploring the relationship between what is made by hand and what is made by machine. That it would challenge the preconception held by some that the former is somehow inherently more valuable than the latter. Now, in the design team at Apple, we do share some similar preoccupations and goals with the designers whose work you will see here today. Many of us, I think, believe in the poetic possibilities of the machine, while in equal measure, we have tremendous respect and admiration for what is made by the hand. Our goal has always been to try to create objects that are as beautiful as they are functional, as elegant as they are useful. Now, our physical designs are informed by our passion for materials and processes based on an experience we have gained by making things actually ourselves. Surprisingly, fewer and fewer designers, regardless of their particular design discipline, seem to be interested in the detail of how something is actually made. Now, with a father who is a fabulous craftsman, I was raised with the fundamental belief that it is only when you personally work with a material with your hands that you come to understand its true nature, its characteristics, its attributes, and I think very importantly, its potential. As I have watched the exhibition's narrative evolve, it has been exciting to see craftsmanship considered not only in the context of today, but also the future. The Chanel dress that Tom mentioned, which was Andrew's inspiration for the exhibition, is a wonderful example of artisan-like craft executed with the deepest consideration, yet enabled with the very latest technology. Now, most breakthroughs in craft were once, of course, perceived as truly innovative, often shockingly so. Once, even the simple metal needle challenged the conventional thinking of a time. Now, I'm humbled by the innovations of the past in the same way that I'm humbled by the work that we can see here today. Now, it's easy to think that craft can't change, but important to remember, all craft process was at some point new, at some point challenged convention, not to be contrarian, but enabled by some breakthrough, some newly discovered principle, or sometimes some wonderful accident. Fundamentally, though, the most critical of all for me in this discussion is the notion of care. Whether something's made in the smallest volume, as a one-off couture piece, or in large quantities, deep care is critical to determine authentic, successful design and ultimately manufacture. It is extraordinary care and the resultant beauty that I recognize in every object here today, regardless of whether it's been made by hand or by machine. It is creation led by great consideration rather than driven by a preoccupation with schedule or price. Now, I believe that this will resonate with visitors to the exhibition. Ultimately, it is the amount of care invested, whether machine-made or handmade, that transforms ordinary, modest materials into something extraordinary. Now, I would like to sincerely thank Hannah, Andrew, Tom, and the team here at the Met, on behalf of all of us at Apple, for the opportunity to be part of this beautiful and thought-provoking show. I know that it will be an inspiration to many and challenge us to recognize that far from being mutually exclusive notions, technology and craft are, of course, not at odds, and much like beauty and utility go hand in hand, all the more powerful in combination. Thank you all for joining us this morning. I do hope that you enjoy the exhibition, which Andrew will now tell you more about. Thank you.
The initial idea for the exhibition came about when I was looking at Saint Laurent's iconic Mondrian dress from his fall 1965 couture collection in our archives. In examining its construction with one of our conservators, we discovered that it was almost entirely made by machine. In fact, the only presence of the hand was the hem and the zipper. And of course, it made complete sense that the dress was machine-sewn rather than hand-sewn to achieve the semblance of the Mondrian linearity. But nevertheless, I was still surprised. Traditionally, the distinction between the haute couture and pret-à-porter has always been between the handmade and the machine-made, respectively. In fact, the Chambre syndicale specifies handwork requirements in its rules and regulations. ManusxMachina questions the dialectical relationship in which the hand and the machine are portrayed as discordant instruments in the production of the haute couture and pret-à-porter. Instead of presenting the handmade and the machine-made as oppositional, it suggests a spectrum of practice whereby the hand and the machine are equal protagonists in solving design problems, enhancing design practices, and ultimately advancing the future of fashion. It proposes a rethinking of the haute couture and pret-à-porter, especially in light of the fact that the technical separations between the two are becoming increasingly more ambiguous, and that the quality of pret-à-porter is becoming increasingly more refined and sophisticated. At the same time, as Jony mentioned, the exhibition questions the symbolic meanings of the hand-machine dichotomy. Traditionally, the hand has been identified with exclusivity, spontaneity, and individuality, yet alternately representative of elitism, the cult of personality, and a detrimental nostalgia for past craftsmanship. Likewise, the machine has been understood to signify not only progress, democracy, and mass production, but also inferiority, dehumanization, and homogenization. In examining these associations, our intention is to liberate the handmade and the machine-made from their usual confines of the haute couture and pret-à-porter and release them into the hands of fashion designers for whom they serve as expressions of creative impulses rather than the exigencies of the fashion system. As the exhibition demonstrates, designers of either the haute couture or pret-à-porter seldom discriminate against the hand and the machine in their design process. For them, the hand and the machine are creative rather than contradictory tools that help to refine, perfect, and advance their craft. Indeed, it's apparent from the examples in the exhibition that both the hand and the machine are rarely absent from the act of fashion creation. Instead, they're employed in tandem to resolve design issues and arrive at artistic solutions that are determined as much by aesthetics as by pragmatics. Neither dictating nor determining the making of fashion, the hand and the machine work in combination to assist and enhance the design process, enabling highly imaginative inventions that might be impossible without such a synthesis. As Jony and Tom mentioned, introducing the exhibition is a superlative example of this confluence between the handmade and the machine-made. A wedding dress by Karl Lagerfeld for Chanel's fall 2014 couture collection, which was one of the main inspirations for the exhibition. The design on the train was sketched by hand and then manipulated on the computer to give the appearance of a pixelated Baroque pattern. It was initially hand-painted with gold metallic pigment, then machine printed with rhinestones, and finally hand-embroidered with pearls and gemstones. In total, the train required 450 hours of workmanship. The exhibition presents a wealth of similar examples, each designed and produced through a complex amalgam of hand and machine techniques. They're presented as a series of case studies in which haute couture and pret-à-porter fashions are examined with the intention of unraveling the realities and mythologies of the hand-machine conundrum. Each piece has been dissected, metaphorically speaking, to determine its genetic makeup and clarify its position on the hand-machine continuum. The results of this DNA testing are stated beneath every garment, almost like a medical record. The show is structured around the métiers of dressmaking as outlined in Diderot's Encyclopedia of the Sciences, Arts and Crafts. Published in the mid-18th century, it was one of the most controversial publications of the French Enlightenment. For the first time, it placed the métiers of dressmaking on the same ethical footing as the arts and sciences, regarded as the noblest forms of scholarly activity since Greek antiquity. Diderot's elevation of these métiers was a provocative challenge to establish prejudices against dressmaking, biases that the author sought to refute by showing the dexterity, creativity, and complexity involved in the making of fashion. In fact, the encyclopedia provides an earlier articulation of the exhibition's theme, ManusxMachina, hand and machine. The métiers defined by Diderot remain at the center of the haute couture today, and they provide the organizing principles of the exhibition, which has been meticulously designed by Omar to stand as a temple to the beauty and artistry of fashion. The first floor gallery examines the métiers of embroidery, featherwork, and artificial flowers, while the ground floor gallery examines those of pleating, lacework, and leatherwork. To all extents and purposes, the exhibition unfolds as a contemporary adaptation of Diderot's encyclopedia. Ultimately, the show attempts to present an alternate reading of fashion, one that's more in keeping with our age of technology. In this age, the technical separation between the haute couture and pret-à-porter is diminishing through the shared usage of hand techniques and mechanical technologies. The convergence of the handmade and the machine-made in both the haute couture and pret-à-porter not only challenges traditional assumptions about both institutions, but also perhaps more importantly, pushes the potential of fashion in previously unforeseen and unimaginable directions. Like Diderot's encyclopedia, ManusxMachina is a celebration of the art of making, in which the hand and the machine work in unison to create fashions of exceptional originality and outstanding technical ingenuity. Through the marriage of the handmade and the machine-made, a new aesthetic is emerging, one of exacting beauty and unfettered imaginings. Thank you.